Hello my friends, my family, my esteemed colleagues. Today's topic is going to be balancing, measurements, especially when it comes to regards to elements or supplements that we may be receiving or we may be getting too high levels through our food. Now what concern has been placed was concerned about accumulating too much iron in the body. Now, so far, if you are following my work, either through videos or better yet through my blog or reading my books, then you are aware that our body does the balancing. Our body is an electronic robot. It has basically set parameters, has sensors and switches, and basically works as electronic device. Now, we are being used through our education, being guided in terms of to achieve something. Well, you have to know what things you have to use, and you have to measure them and be exact in how much of which thing you are going to put together so the mixture becomes correct and you get the proper results. And this we are implementing through biochemistry, and then going simpler than that, even through our diet. I mean, you go to nutritionist, and nutritionist will give you a food plan, and it will tell you exactly how many calories, what type of calories, how many meals you can have daily, so you balance your system. Now this all is utter nonsense, because we don't have any clue what the body needs. We estimate, we have our opinions, and this goes even to the most specialized professionals. We can talk about biochemists who can break down nutrition depot of any type of a food, tells us exactly how much of, I don't know, magnesium, how much of copper, how much of sugar, carbohydrate, protein, vitamins food has. And we can then balance as much as we want and eat it. Well, our cells have no clue what we are doing. Our cells just receive frequency, vibration, and they act to the vibration. Many times happens, for example, that we are healthy and all of a sudden we become anemic. Now, yeah, if you're a woman and you have a period and you bled a lot, you may lose a lot of blood and you may become anemic. You may have internal injury, you are bleeding, you may become anemic. But if there is no blood loss and you become anemic, well, what then? Immediately we go, aha, you need more iron, because your body is missing iron. Why? Because it's not in the blood where it should be. This is how we check anemia. Well, where did the iron go? You were healthy one day, you are anemic the next. What happened? Did you urinate it? Well, you didn't, because body does not eliminate what it uses. It recycles. Of course, it has sensors and switches. So if the level of certain element goes over the radar, over the sensor calibration. Switch is being pushed, cleanse, get rid of it. Put it down into acceptable levels. We see this very well with calcium. People that have osteoporosis, we say, oh, you're missing calcium, you put calcium in the bone and bone recovers, right? So nutritionists put you in a food regime. Okay, grind the shells of eggs and munch that stuff. Utter nonsense. Doctors have their suggestions. Again, pumping you up with calcium. Supplement. But at the same time, you are urinating calcium. So, your bones are lacking calcium, but your blood is oversaturated with it in such a level that actually switch is being pushed for elimination. So you are urinating it. And now you have these very bright folks that tell you, no, you gotta supplement. So your blood levels of this stuff are so high that it's becoming toxic and your body is cleansing it, and now you are supplementing it. Makes any sense? Well, because we are not thinking. We are just following the book. We are following the leader. Same is happening with iron. It is missing from the blood in this case. Okay, it's not, you are not eliminating. It's not in the urine, but it's not in the blood. Where is it? Well, there are plenty places in your body where it can be. Usually it accumulates wherever there is a tumor growing. Tumors, in most cases, are packed with iron. Now why? What is happening here? Well, now we have biochemists which will analyze the blood picture, see what's happening there, and they will come to conclusion, copper. You may not have enough copper because you were drinking colloidal silver, copper. Basically, they are very close on periodic scale, very similar elements, one may be suppressing other, and we go into now manufacturing our own reality, which has nothing to do with how the body functions. But since experts are involved, it must be true. If all these biochemists and all these experts would be true, then medicines, pharmaceutical medication should be healing us. Now, did ever anybody get healed from being medicated? No. Symptoms may be suppressed, but another ones will pop up. You will never ever get rid of medications once when you start getting medicated, if you continue listening to those schmucks. Why they are schmucks? Because they have no capacity of thinking. There came new science through Dr. Keshe. Dr. Keshe is an Iranian nuclear physicist, and big contribution he did is through introducing us to plasma. Now, plasma that he's talking about, we used to call different name. We used to call it ether. Well, I think there is more than this in Keshe's plasma, but very interestingly, what is being pointed, that how you can influence characteristics of water by exposing them to GANs and how to make GANs. And GANs is gas in nanoparticle, nanosubstance. And basic technology that he explains is utilizing two elements, which is a copper and zinc. When they are nano-coated, then they can be utilized because through introduction of frequency, especially the gravitation and magnetic pole, and introduction of other elements, you are going to have certain reactions. And Dr. Cash explains that basically tissue is nuclear reactor. Same as the leaves, you always have two coats. Tissue also, we know, as the cells start multiplying and tissue growing, it folds on itself and it becomes double. So you have always upper and lower layer. One of them is coated with nanoparticle, the other one is coated with plain metal. And in between, you have plasma. You need plasma. And this plasma is another plasma. This plasma is what I'm referring to as a seawater. It is water loaded with all of those elements that we find on our planet, which are dissolved in water. They are miniature particles. Actually, they are not particles at all. They are frequencies. Only our brain turns them into particles. And under the influence of nanocoating. And why nanocoating? Because I have also explained when I talk about colloidal silver that elements, their specifics depend on the elaborate net, energetic net that it creates. Has nothing to do with how much electrons, how much protons and neutrons atom has, and what kind of mesh, geometrical mesh it is going to create when 2, 3, 4, 10 million atoms get together, creating molecules. The characteristics of every element are going to be dependent on this elaborate mesh, geometrical mesh that is being created. But now we know on water, which is fabulous medium, that basically, even though it's simple, we say it's oxygen with 2 hydrogens. But there is so many ways, so many different angles which hydrogen can have towards oxygen, that the mesh that it will be created is going to be different. And we can see it on snowflakes. You have a snowflake sometimes looking one way, sometimes the other way, sometimes when it's snowing, but it's rare that you see all different flakes. It's usually one kind of a flakes, then next time it's snowing it's different flakes and different flakes. Why? Because it all depends on the resonance of the area where it is snowing, where the crystals are formed. Because this is nothing more than crystallized water that has its structure, its geometric mesh. And all the characteristics that the snowflake will have depend on this mesh. Same as Dr. Emoto, Masaru Emoto, when he was studying water, and he would expose it to different types of music or different types of thoughts. Different crystalline forms would form when he would freeze this water, because it all depends on the frequency. It doesn't matter on oxygen or hydrogen. Is it deuterium, is it protium, is what it is, makes no difference. Yes, our brain shows it like this, but originally it all depends. What is the angle, how they interact, how the atoms are interacting with another according to their structure. Now we know electrons are everywhere at the same time, so how can electrons be positioned differently to make different? Because it has nothing to do with electrons. It is all electromagnetism. It's all energy and interaction of the waveforms. This is why healing can be achieved using different methods, but none of them should be based on distraction. Because if you are maintaining the environment as it is, and even when surgically you are removing now the problem of accumulation, let's say, of iron in the cells and creation of tumor, so you remove it, so what will happen? Well, a new tumor is going to occur because you did not change the energetic frequencies. I remember when I was studying veterinary medicine, and I was reading some articles that with photographs also, it was published in newspaper in Yugoslavia about a surgery that was done in Philippines by a local doctor that used his hands to operate. And they saw blood, and then he pulled out something and said, well, this is the tumor. Well, what happened is that the patient actually healed. There was no tumor there. But there were scientists that took whatever was discarded, and then they said, this is all foolishness because this was a chicken liver, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, it was a chicken liver. Because for healing, you don't have to physically remove things to make sense. You just have to convince that this was done, and pure body already show you a completely different thing. But it is very important that you change the frequency, and this is why these people who operate with their hands, they don't need this blood, they don't need to use this chicken liver or whatever to make you believe. But we are just used to, well, how can you take out my tumor if physically I didn't see it being out, nobody saw it out. So this is something strange. Well, we have plenty of these healers around. We call them shamans. And they basically connect with you, connect with your spirit, with your body's consciousness. And they have complete overview of what is happening in your body. And all they have to do is then change the frequencies. And they do it usually by mentally, but also using amplifier, which is their voice, so they sing Icaros. And since every frequency is represented by a symbol, and we gave it a meaning or name, so the Icaro usually has these words in it. Oh, Spirit of Darko, heal Darko, heal this and this, eliminate this and this. Thank you, Spirit of Forest, to come, thank you. Introducing all the frequencies, all the natural vibrations to come to correct the vibration of the body. And then, when the session is over, the body, since it has reprogrammed its frequencies, well, the old frequencies which were bothering us will be eliminated. And yeah, we may get diarrhea, we may get sick, and also this may be a process that usually lasts several days after the shamanic intervention. But this is true healing, using the ability of the brain to produce any frequency necessary to do the healing. And to know which frequency to use, well, we don't know sometimes which particular. More experience shaman has, the more pinpoint he can do and get faster results. But in general, you just call in frequencies from the nature. You mention a forest, well, there are huge amount of frequencies, and it's all God creation. So they're all God's pure frequencies. And you have now your brain radiating them. You are changing the vibrational field in the body. And this is healing. We do not have to physically see the thing. And why nanoparticle is being used? Because the structure to have all the properties that we know that one element has. I explained this again on silver. Very often people are selling now this, they call ionic silver. Very small particles, much smaller than nanoparticle. Well, but this, the element, in this case silver, is not going to have all its properties until the size of 1 nanometer has reached. Because then the net is complete. But here we are on a breaking point. And this is why it can and it may not show all the characteristics. And that just depends on a little bit of input of frequency. This is why all these nanorobots are being produced now to be introduced into bodies, so they can, through them, control our cells, our genes, our reactions. Nanotechnology is very advanced, and it's nano just because of this, because you can engage it or disengage it just with simple signal. And I have explained before in my videos that you have element like carbon, and it has certain properties. As a coal actually is not conductive, it's isolator. But then you just shift a little bit the net, still the same carbon, and all of a sudden becomes graphene, And graphene is extremely electroconductive. Serves as a solar panel. So it has nothing to do with atom per se. It is all about the net. It has nothing to do with electrons, protons, neutrons. This is all, in my opinion, it's all false knowledge. So, we got to go back to school. We got to learn the truth. And still, we cannot learn the truth because we are still being influenced by experts from the past who knows absolutely diddly squat. They know what they know never worked, especially when it comes to our health. So, time has come to sit down again and start learning, but not by reading, because this is not written yet. So go in nature, get close to some tree, and meditate. Think about the problem that you have, what you want to know. You will always receive what you need so you can continue. I'm doing this already for 20 years. So, and still, new things come out. And they will be coming out. As long as we are here to learn, to experience, learn through experiences. So, all this question about balancing, how much of this should I have, and if I have too much of this, what is body going to do? Well, as long as you have high levels of plasma, which is water with diluted seawater or water with not refined sea salt, you have basically all the minerals there that your body will use, and it will calibrate itself. If there is really too much iron, it is going to push it out, so you will urinate it, or it will come out through diarrhea or sweat. Because as soon as any element goes above the radar, and if there is enough plasma, it is being eliminated. We are robots. There is no reason why it would hold you. Then we say, oh, what different compounds because you eat this. Body is highly intelligent, not intelligent. It is just made into perfection. Only the ambient can be in a way. Wrong frequency. Every organ has its own frequency. This is why stem cell doesn't matter. Wherever it stops and spends a little bit more time, all of a sudden ceases to be stem cell, becomes the regular cell of that organ where it had been trapped. Genes go into action and they show blueprint to the cell of how to behave in this environment. This is all what cleansing and disease and flu, virus is all about. Now, do we need to cleanse properly, measuring things and how much water? No. This is why we don't have to know how much salt to put in. As long as you put some salt in there, it's good. But you watch your stool, because your body is going to be absorbing, and when it needs more, it absorbs so much that nothing is being left in your colon, which makes your stool hard and could constipate you. So the only thing that should be used to normalize the stool is plasma. We say, oh, it's a fiber. What a fiber? We should not even touch plant fiber. It has nothing to do with our health. Everything to do with our sickness. So, we gotta think. We have to think. It doesn't matter if the food that you eat has a lot of iron. Okay, you don't have problem with iron in your body, but you love to eat liver, and liver has a lot of iron. So you feast on liver daily. Are you going to now become sickly because too much iron comes, as some claim that our aging is related to the level of iron, that iron is increasing, is sedimenting in our body and making us age? That's utter nonsense. Yes, we may have trapped iron in the wrong places, but it has nothing to do because it is in our body. Or it's where it came from, number one, because there are things we should not be eating. Grains are right on top of that list. And that goes for quinoa too. Okay, all grains. But basically every cooked vegetable is disaster for us. And plants are full of minerals. And this is why chelation, oh yeah, humic acid, humic compounds, which is basically composted greenery, vegetables, because it's full of minerals. Yeah, but it's also full of many other toxic things which are in plants. All these minerals are going to be washed into the land, into the soil, and through the soil into the rivers, and from the rivers into the sea, and they will remain in the sea, and from there you get them right back into your body in clean form, without toxic acids or other toxic plant elements. I spoke about chelation. It's stupidity. It doesn't work. So, again, observation, clear thinking, and things will click. Thank you for listening. Till next time. Love you all.